guys, welcome back to the hand history review of the $5 cube that I played. Again, this is Focused Motion for betondrew.com. Alright, so we are picking up where we left off. Bowler knocks out Indy with his ace jack. So we're four-handed, and obviously, once he gets to this point, there's only one real good player at the table that I thought was good, and it was Bowler. So my main concern is to get Bowler knocked out as soon as possible. So that was my mindset, and try to get heads up with Uncle Bud, because Diamond Rips is almost a non-factor, about 3 big blinds. So we're fairly certain we get three-handed here. We got King 10 offsuit on the in the big blind rather, and we're definitely gonna call Diamond Ripsy shove if we get folded to that person. But here we go. Let's see what happens. I get folded, obviously. Raise, and we call like normal. Easy call for us to make. And good game. Well, actually, I'm sorry. I take it back. It's actually a chop pot. Deuce on the turn helps out Mr. Ripsy. So, hang around a little bit longer. We have A6 offsuit. Gets opened by Bowler. And Diamond decides to get it in now. We fold our A6 and Uncle Bud folds. Bowler has Ace 8. Diamond has Jack 9. Board runs out. Good game, Diamond. 6-9 offsuit. We elect to open. And once we get three-handed to heads up, my opening size is pretty much min-raise. Just factoring that we're pretty deep. Yeah. So we min-raise. Uncle Bud says no bueno and decides to 3-bet me. And interesting spot because this is the very first hand three-handed and he decided to do that, but we decided to let it go. Takes it down. Ace 5 suited. Uncle Bud raises. Now, you could argue for a 3-bet. However, I really feel like he will be calling a lot in position. And I really don't want to blow the pot up with it. Even though it's a suited day, it's a pretty weak kicker, and you really don't want to be trying to mess with a guy that has me covered in chips out of position. Hence, that's why I just flatted. Flop comes pretty good. We hit a 5. The diamond draw out there, and there's a queen. We go ahead and lead out because we want to basically just take it down. We really don't want to have to go feature streets. Uncle Bud decides to call. Pretty scary call because he again had position and he had a chip to beat us with. A king comes off. We have no choice but to barrel, and we're barreling here on the pretense that he was floating us on the button. Well, he was floating us on the flop rather. Now, what could he be floating us with? I mean, anything really. Now, if he had a diamond draw, it got there. However, if we had a diamond draw, we got there. So it's kind of like who got there in reality, right? So we want to take the initiative and say we got there. So that's why we let out. And he decided to fold. Now, it's a scary proposition to lead out again after you get called on the flop. But I really felt like if he had some sort of flush draw, he'd be a little bit more aggressive on the flop, especially in position. And the bill, even though it's out of position, worked in our favor. Jack 5-0, Jackson 5, in the small. We decided to introduce this line of play, blind versus blind. And he calls, which we would normally expect, but we want to see what he do. And also introduce it so that later on when we have a better hand, he might think that we're just doing with air or whatever and try to get it off it. Kind of a leveling there. We lead out. It's a pretty good board to lead out because even though we don't have the queen or the king, it looks pretty strong to do that out of position. He decided to pop it up. Now, we could totally try to represent the queen here by just getting it in, even though that's like super spazzy. So I wouldn't say getting in. I'd say re-raise pretty significant. So I wouldn't hate a re-raise to like 115 or so. Oh, actually no, I take it back. Re-raise like a 90 something. 90 would be good. Anyway, but I mean, like if he's thinking the same way we're thinking, like that queen did not hit us and it shouldn't hit him, then what he's doing is fine because he's thinking that's the case, and he's re-stealing basically. So I wouldn't even mind going a step further and just popping it back to 90. But I said, you know what? You got it. You got it, Mr. Bud. This Bud for you. And I folded. 8-5 suited. Again, min raise. Not varying my raise size. Not even if it's aces, same raise. Bowler folds. Ace 10, 7 board. Checks to me. I'm going to fire. Ace high flop. Definitely going to fire that. He calls. 7 here. He checks. I'm going to fire. I would imagine if he leads out, I'm going to raise. So let's see what happens. He checks. I bet. I bet slightly half, a little bit less than half, trying to look like he's trying to get value. He calls. Sick river because it really doesn't do much. So when he calls the turn, we're really scratching our head trying to figure out what he's doing. He checks, and oops, sorry. Okay, so he checks. Now, the only thing he could be doing this with is a spade. The only thing that could really work if he had a spade draw and he missed, so we have to bet, right? Um, so we bet, and you can make it pretty big. I would like it to be like close to like 100-something thousand or so, because it looks really strong and it's hard for him to call. I ended up making 90, which is kind of close, but it's more than half size pot, right? And he goes and folds. So yeah, he calls down. It's scary when he calls down, but you got to sometimes keep on firing some barrels. Uncle Bud folds button. We get raised by Bowler, and I call. I don't like his call. I'd rather just 3-bet him and get him to fold, or 3-bet fold myself. So I'm not a fan of this call at all. The only reason why I would do that is just for position and I'd outplay him, but I'd rather just get him to fold pre-flop here. Ace 8-8, Ace 8-5 board. He bets out like more than half, and we have to fold. Kind of a weird bet by him. I think if he had an ace, he'd bet kind of not that big, but it probably is an ace, but it is what it is. 9-4 offsuit, folds, and we fold. Again, I mean, the first time around we min raised his big blind, but it is what it is. 7-6 offsuit, we min raise. He gets called by Bowler. We flop at 6. He checks. We're gonna always bet here, probably half pot. About half pot right there. He calls. He checks. We're gonna fire again, and this time we fire enough to commit him, and he folds. I like it, but then I don't. But because we're basically getting him to fold hands that would call and then fold the river, I guess. But we're just trying to basically play power poker, I guess, and our image is that pretty aggressive. So obviously, if he calls, we might be behind, and sometimes might be ahead. But I'd imagine he would call if he had like some sort of flush draw on the turn. But I'm not really a huge fan of really basically getting him in on the river on the turn. I mean, that's a really aggressive line, But yeah, I mean it works. My image was consistent with that though, so it works. 10-9 offsuit. We get a walk. 6-4 offsuit. We get min raised. Get called by Uncle Bud. Check, 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 check. Bet. He bets river. Uncle Bud folds. Yeah, if I'm bowling, by the time Uncle Bud checks the river, he's pretty much telling you he does not have a hand, and you should be able to fire. King 6, I imagine I open. I do. Get folds. Good. Jack 6-0. Min raised. I fold. Trying to stay out of Uncle Bud's way because he seems kind of crazy and kind of unpredictable. Min raised. I fold. Uncle Bud shift for 8 big blinds against bowler. Bowler folds. Don't know what that was. King Queen O. I min raised. Bowler folds. Everybody folds. 2-4 suited. I call, and the reason why I call this, it's very deceptive. I'm getting good odds to call, and I'm getting implied odd because if I flop really well, he might stack off with one pair, given the way he just plays his stack like that. So we flop 10-3, 10-3-3, check, bet. We can represent the 3. I don't mind trying to represent the 3 by check raising, but I don't mind conserving our equity here. And I think I fold, which is fine. Deuces in the small blind. We make it. We min raise it. He folds. Jack 7-0. Whoa! What happened there? Whoa! Yeah, this one's kind of a spazzy one here, guys. So I'm in raise button. Bowler calls. 8-6-6 board. Bowler checks. I check. Now, I think the reason why I checked there was because I felt like he knew that I wouldn't have a 6 that often, and so he would just shove with pretty much anything into my bet. So, in theory, I would like a bet instead of a check here. 8 comes off. This leads me to believe he doesn't have it now because it's double paired. So he checks, I fire. He calls. The river comes in ace, which basically means if he doesn't have any pair, anything, we're chopping, right? So the pot is 99,000. He has about 73,000. He gets it in. We get 2-1 on our money, and basically, as long as he doesn't have an 8, a 6, or an ace, or a pair higher than 8, we're good. So I figured we should be good more often than not, and so I call, and unfortunately he has an 8. So he would definitely be getting this on the flops if we bet on the flop. So that is what it is. That was my thought process. 5-7-0. We're not going to defend in the big blind. 9-8-0. We're going to fold. 10-6 suited. We're going to raise. Get called by bowler. He checks. We should fire. We do. He calls. He checks. We're going to. Wow. I was going to say we're going to fire again, but we don't. We basically give the pot that way. Okay, this is funny because I really like a fire here on the turn. I really don't like the way I play this hand. But it is what it is. So anyway, so we see the river. Bowler bet 64,000. Now we have a pretty strong hand, but we're not 100% sure what he could have. Like, could he conceivably have the hearts, right? Because you remember he called a flop bet, and that's a distinctive possibility. And I didn't really want to get my stack in there based on the chance that he might have a flush draw, and he got there. So I played the safe route, and I was thinking about this whole thing, and I'm like, you know what? If I get it in there, he only calls me with a flush, and he'll fold out everything else. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But I tanked for a minute, and I decided to call, and he gets mad because he thinks I slow roll him, but in reality, I was thinking about the hand. He shows two pair, and yeah, so we win a pretty good pot. Yeah, we didn't slow this guy. We do think about the hand and what we could do. Queen five. We open. I'm sorry, no. Queen five win the big line. But Uncle Bud opens. We fold. Jacks. Bolo opens. We repop, and we're not liking it if we get shoved by Uncle Bud. But Bolo gets it in. We call. King Jack versus Jacks, and it's a good game to bowler. Now we're heads up with Uncle Bud. We have a slight chip lead, and my thought process with this heads up match was basically just wear him down in position, try to avoid crazy flips because it's not needed, and just shift was so deep, really, 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 really pick the right spots. And with that being said, let's go. And the funny thing is, I want to say something, guys, real quick too. Is it does show Bud as a shark symbol here, but the funny thing was, if you look at chart scope, it shows him as a goldfish, which means he's really, really bad player. So it was kind of funny how the stats on the HUD display him as a shark. Um, Conversely, it's not surprising to show a little gambling sign here because I am pretty aggressive. So take that for what you will. Heads up, we have Ace 7-0. Uncle Bud min raises. We call. I guess we call because we're not trying to blow the pot out of position again. We're just trying to play pots small and so forth. We flop a 7, which is pretty nice for us. I would imagine we check call, but he doesn't bet. Turn comes the king. I would imagine we check call. Nope, but he doesn't bet. River comes to 7. I would imagine we bet, and I would imagine we bet kind of substantial. We do, because it looked kind of bluffy. We're trying to sell the 7. He calls, and he shows the queen, which really I'm a little confused about, to be honest there. He might have just missed it. That was a really weird hand he played, because ordinarily, obviously, he min-raised the button pre-flop. He's going to fire on that flop. Maybe check the turn, and then, evaluate river. But he didn't, and so I'm fine with that. I would definitely have floated him on the queen. Called it bet on the flop, and then on the king we probably would go check, and then on the river we would bet. So he saved some money that way, I guess. But yep, ace 3 suited. We min raise. He calls. He checks. We bet. He calls. He checks. We check back. He bets, and we fold. Again, I think that's fine as long as I think that I'm beat. I probably at the time thought I might be beat. And given the fact that he checked back his queen the last time, makes me think maybe he might be checking back his king, which is, I mean, maybe there, maybe it's not. But definitely a fire on the turn, especially in position. Got to be consistent with your barrels because he has been known to call bets on each street. 7-4 suited. Get raised. We call. Flop a 7. We check. He bets, and we fold. Again, my mindset was not to play a lot of pots out of position with hands that aren't going very well in the post flop. Ace Jack suited, we min raise, he raised back, we call. I think the reason why I kept it really small, or kept the pot small in this sense, if you have one out of position, two, if, let's see here, what kind of run it back? I'm in raise, he 3 bets. If I 4 bet, he is more likely than not the way he's been playing, just get it in. And I'm not too sure if I like playing ace jack suited against this guy's crazy range. So I like to call. He flopped really well. He leaves out, and how is it? You could argue for a call on the turn, but I like to take it down. And if he's willing to flip with me, I want to be able to have two cards to see versus doing this on the turn with only one card to come. So I believe I pop him back, which I do, pretty substantial, um, and he folds. I think the bet sizing could be a little bit less because we do have a nut flush draw, we do have overs and so forth. Um, I wouldn't fault the size to be like around 130 or 140. It'd be better, but he ended up folding, which is fine. But I definitely don't hate calling the flop bet too. Ace deuce offsuit. He min raises. We call. Again, we're trying to disguise our aces. We're not trying to get it crazy, especially with a weak ace out of position. We check. He fires, and we fold. And that's all right. 6-9 offsuit. We raise. He calls. We flop pretty well, I guess. We fire half pot. He calls. Turn comes a jack. He bets. He checks. We bet. We're definitely getting value here. The jack isn't really the best card for us to see on the turn, but we're definitely going to fire one more street and then check back the turn. River, I would imagine. The deuce comes off. He checks. I like this shove here because, well, I like to shove only because his stack is roughly pot size, right? And so he could probably hero with a jack maybe. But I think in retrospect he probably raised a jack on the turn. So I think my sizing should just be for value. So I should have bet like 80 something or 90 something, and he ended up folding. Yeah, I think I missed a lot of value there. 90 something would done the trick. 5-2 offsuit. He raises, we fold. 10-9-0, we raise. He gets it in. At this point, we kind of have him where we want him in terms of what he wants, what he's doing. We want him to start spazzing like this and just shoving against the min raise for 26 big blinds. That's what we want. And yeah, 4-2 suited. He min raised was gonna fold. Queens, we min raise. He folds. Queen 6-0. He min raise. We fold. That's gonna be a lot of times what we're gonna be doing. We fold, and we fold here to show him that we're going to try to give him some walks and tighten up our range, even though we're not. We're just basically giving the illusion that we are. So that's the reason why we did that. 5-9 suited, get raised, we call. Flop mid pair of nines, we check, he checks back. A 4, we bet, he folds. Once he checks back that flop, very unlikely he had anything there, and we can safely bet and to take it down. Even if we didn't have a 9, we could have safely bet. 10-5-0, we raise, he calls. We have a flush draw, so we bet it out, and he folds. Ace 4, he raises, we call, and you notice our trend so far in heads up map, we have not 3-bet him once. Really trying to keep things low, especially given the fact that we're, really having a lot of chips, against him. Oops, sorry guys. Let's see what happens. So we call, we flop, gut shot, check, he checks back, we get a king, we check, he checks back, we get a king too. Fairly certain my ace is good here, so I bet for value. I don't mind just check calling his bet because I would be kind of pissed if he blows me off it by raising, and I can't realize my showdown value. So actually, in this line, I rather prefer a check, and he just tries to bet his air for value, or for just basically the bluff. Queen 6 suited. We min raise. He gets it in again. He's starting to do that kind of crazy spazzy stuff. Queen 8-0. He min raises. We call. Really bad flop for us, but we lead out anyway because we're trying to represent that low board. And he folds. Yeah, we're just trying to represent the board or the flop. Jack 8 suited, min raise, he gets it in, and so we're getting to the point where he's trying to do that a lot, and we like that, and we fold. Ace 8-0, he raises, we call, we check, he checks back, queen, we check, he bets, we call because the queen doesn't really look like he has a queen in the spot, but given the fact that he only bets when he has it, looks like now, more often, because he's checking a lot, it just leads me to believe that he either has a queen or he doesn't. So we lead out, and he calls, and he shows the queen. This spot is definitely like a check on the river, and if we think we're ahead of his range, we call a river bet instead of trying to bloat it out. Yeah, so that's that with that one. And it goes to show you still win a tournament, guys, and you still make mistakes. So definitely enjoy your tournament victory, but definitely also review it too, because you'll see mistakes that you made. And there are going to be a lot out there, and I've seen quite a few just in this stretch of hands alone, and which will definitely help you out in the future tournaments. Queen 4, we're going to min raise, he folds. Jack 8, min raise, we call. 10-10 deuce board, we check, he checks. I imagine a lot of times we check, we're just going to check raise a lot, but you never give us an opportunity to check back. We get some showdown value with the 8, we check, he checks, and now we have to bet because we don't think he's going to bet at all. And we try to bet for some value, and he folds. Queen 9 suited, we min raise, he calls. Flop, really interesting. 10 ball for the nut. And I really like a bet here, even though it's a very wet board. But it is what it is. We got a 9 for some showdown value now. So we bet, and he folds. Obviously protecting against clubs too as well. That's why we got a bet there. He min raises, we call. Check, check. Or we lead out, and he folds. Yeah. So, and one thing that our lead outs are pretty successful against him once he checks back the flop. So we should be doing that a lot. 10-5 suited, we raise, he folds. Ace 3 offsuit, he just gives a walk. Nice doing to do that. Ace 9, min raise, he folds. Ace 3 offsuit, he raises, we call. We flop an ace, we check, he bets, we call. We check, he checks, and essentially we're planning on calling him down, right? But once he checks back the turn, it's very hard for us to check and expect value on the river. So I imagine we would bet the river. We don't. We try to induce, I guess. He doesn't oblige, and he shows Jack 10. So yeah, obviously he wouldn't call a bet on the river, and he obviously didn't feel like he could take that out of the pot by betting. So yeah, fair enough. 8-5 offsuit, min raise, he folds. 7-6 offsuit, he folds with a walk. King deuce offsuit, min raise, he calls. Ace high, we're gonna fire almost always. And if you notice, the bet sizing is weird. It was a misclick. I wasn't planning on betting the minimum, but it was a misclick. He calls, and here he checks. I bet the min again. That's really weird. I think once I misclick the flop, I'm gonna go with that line. So I bet the turn, and he calls. On the deuce, he gets it in, which is really nutty. But in hindsight, I'm kind of glad I did min bet because maybe if he did have a hand, he's still playing aces. I lost complete minimum. So we end up folding, guys. Obviously, even though we have a 2 there. Ace-3 offsuit, he gives a walk, which is nice. 4-5 offsuit, we raise, he gets it in. Fold, obviously. 7-2 offsuit, he gives the walk, which is nice. 4-9 offsuit, we raise, he calls, we flop a 9 mid pair. He checks, we check. 6 of clubs, he checks, we should be betting. He calls. 10 of spades, he checks, and it's close because very, very wet board. Um, yeah, very wet. I mean, you have a decent showdown value. And yeah, I decided to check back. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, with a wet board. And Jack 9 got there on the river. So good stuff that well, it didn't really matter. He had a Jack kicker to get that for. So good enough. Ace 5 0. Min raise, we call. 9 high flop. Check, we fold. I mean, he bets, we fold. Ace 9 offsuit, raise, call, checks, we bet, and we're expecting to take this down a lot of the times. But he calls, and I imagine we bail the turn. We should be doing that at least. He checks, but we don't. We check back, and the 9, we got a lot of showdown value. He bets half pot, we call, and he had king jack. Kind of run by that hand again. Ace 9 offsuit, we min raise, he calls. Flop, he checks that. We bet, he calls. I mean, conceivably we had the jack here, but maybe a weak jack and maybe a 8 or a 7. 4, we check. 4 doesn't help much, unless I thought he had some sort of draw, like a 5-6. But I don't know. Maybe we wanted to slow down once we hit the turn. And when we hit the 9, it's kind of hard. I'm not a big fan of that call because it looks like we were trying to get value. We do pick up some showdown value, but a 10 beats us. A jack beats us. Straight beats us. Queen 10 beats us. All that good stuff. So I really don't like this call here. And he shows us king jack. Ace 9 0. That's the same hand, right? Yeah, that's the same hand. Alright, sorry guys. Deuce 6 offsuit. We get a walk. We do, which is nice. 3-7-0. Min raise. He calls. Checks. I like a bet here, even though it might think in his eye that we probably don't have it because it's mono flop, but I like a bet. Jack on the turn, we stop the bet. He calls. 3 on the river. He checks. Now I'm thinking, okay, well, if he calls the turn, it's probably likely he has some sort of flush, and so we really can't get him off a flush. We do have some showdown value if we're wrong, if he has complete error, so I don't like a bet here, obviously. We check, and he shows 7 clubs. Now, had we bet pretty substantial, he may or may not call, but we do have chips ahead of him. We don't want to risk some high variance play there. So we'd elect to just check and see a showdown. King, queen, in the big blind, he folds. Always nice. Jack 10, we open, we flop, king high. I'm assuming we bet out to represent the king. We do, and he folds. 6-5 offsuit, he raises, we call, we flop. Backdoor straight draw, backdoor flush draws. Check, he bets, we fold. King Jack O, we raise, he folds. Ace King, I imagine we get a walk, we do, always nice. Ace 9 suited, we min raise, he calls. Flop an ace, really nice for us. I imagine we bet half pot, we do, he folds. Jack deuce of spades, he raises, we fold. 7-6 offsuit, we raise, he calls. 8 deuce, he checks, we probably bet, yeah, we should be betting there. and he folds. 6-7 suited, he raises, we call, flop middle pair. I'm imagining we check raising if he bets. Check, he bets. Yeah. I like the fact that we check raise, but I don't like the fact that we jam a whole stack in there. That's just asking to get snapped by a better hand, and we're just drawing super thin. But it turns out he folds. But I would like a raise of, like, say, like 60 something or 70 something, maybe a little bit higher, like 75,000 or so, because that's just basically just too spewy. I mean, we shouldn't be doing that at all. You look back at it. You check. He bets out 32, about a little bit less than half pot. You should be rating that like 90 something thousand if you really think that you can get him to fold, um, draws and so forth. But yeah, that's what it is. Queen 5 offsuit, min raise button. He calls. I would imagine I bet here. I do. He calls. A deuce comes off, which doesn't help anything. He checks. I barrel again, and he check raises all in, and we have to fold. Pretty tough spot there. 10-7 offsuit. He folds. Get a walk, basically. 10-7 offsuit again. We raise, and we get that one down. Queen 4 offsuit. We face the min raise. We fold. Guys, we're getting close. Hopefully, we can end this video. 8-6 offsuit. We min raise. He folds. Deuce 3. He min raise. I believe we shove. No, we don't shove, obviously. We fold. I just want to make sure you guys are awake. You're like, man, focused motion shoved that? That's crazy. But no, we don't do that. Min raise 3 offsuit. He 3 bets us. We just fold. Jack 7 offsuit. We get a walk. Jack 7 offsuit here. We min raise. We get a walk. We get a fold. Jacks here. He's 26 big blinds. We're 38 big blinds. Jacks plus a really strong hand. So anytime an opponent shows a lot of interest pre-flop, you're pretty much going to get your jacks in 100% of the time. He pops it up. We make it 80,000. He's fine. And he jams. And we're flipping for a tournament life, basically. But we call off with jacks. He shows 8-7 suited. Great flop flip. We hit a set of jacks. The board runs out. A good thing we hit a set of jacks, otherwise he'd bike his ace on the river. So that was a good game for Uncle Bud. And so yeah, so that was the tournament that we binked after the night before where we played bad. And we want to review it, so we did, and we went on to bink this tournament. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please feel free to post in the forums, and also if you want to comment on the video, do that as well. So yeah, if you guys like this kind of style where I'm going over the hand replayer, just let me know. I have other tournaments I can do that with. If you guys like the live feel about it, where I'm actually talking about the hand like in real time, we can definitely do that too. Just let me know what you guys want. We will try to deliver. Thanks for watching, and always keep it focused motion, steady binking, and yeah, check out the forums and go on to betandrew.com and learn more poker stuff. Here you go, betandrew. Alright guys, this is Focus Motion, and see you later.